from the judge, please.
All right. Back to it. Thank you for allowing me to go the rest of it. No, all right, so we're back to B1 and B2, where we've got. You got it.
Quiet.
To B1 and 2, State of Jefferson adopt resolution declining to join the State of Jefferson and advocating improved representation of rural and Florida counties. 2, adopt resolution declaring and petition to the State of California Legislature for the withdrawal of Plumas County from the State of California to form the State of Jefferson, and alternatively to authorize joining a legal challenge to Reynolds versus Sims. So let's have some conversations. Anybody want to start?
I'll go. And no, you can do the dirty looks, the smart remarks, threaten to get rid of me, but that's not going to stop me from what I'm going to say. So I grew up here. I moved here when I was 8 years old, and I'm a native Californian. I was born in Southern California, Santa Ana. Moved up here, it was like moving to the Yukon. I always tell people that. So my dad worked for the county. So I'm a second generation county worker, and I'm proud of it. I take pride in public service. And I know I'm your employee, but I am listening to everybody in my county and out of my county. I understand the sentiment here, and I have said things like Nick said, and everybody's heard me about representation. In fact, I was at the RCRC conference last week, and we had 2 retired senators. We had a state senator retired, and a state assemblyman. And I did my speech. I was pretty much told to shut up after a while. Right? They said, "What's the question, Lori?" But I said, what are we going to do to get representation? You guys have been there, and they all said it's about education and compromise. Now listen, just listen to me. I listen to you, and I expect the same. One thing I've thought of over time, and I've looked into this, and I know it's a hard sell, would be a part-time legislator. It would cut the government in half. All it would take is a referendum on the state ballot. I'm sure we could get signatures. But anyway, they said a lot of the urban people do not really understand your issues. Now, I have the utmost respect for our Assemblyman, Brian Dolly. He was over in Lassen County. He was a supervisor. He knows the issues. He's a rancher. And you know what he does? He takes and invites urban legislators up to his ranch on a repeated basis. He's given us a whole list of the people he's invited. And he educates them. And you know what? He is getting bills passed that benefit us. Okay, so back to, and I admire him. I think he's got the right thing going. Now, there's other counties that have signed on. Modoc County, I'll tell you what, they got busted for malfeasance of funds that they spent. State funds, they had a county hospital, and they spent road that was going under, like all our county hospitals are having a hard time. They spent road funds. They took whatever funds they could find to fund that hospital. And guess what? They're paying back the state of California. I don't even know how they had the gall to sign on to this when they owe the state of California funds that they misused. Anyway, back to my story. You talk about, I grew up here. I was in, I just had my class reunion last Saturday. And, I love those people. We had the idyllic childhood here in Quincy. We had so much money. You could take flying lessons in the morning, flying lessons. You could, you know, all kinds of things because of the timber industry. Well, you guys keep saying the state doesn't own those lands. It's federal land. Nothing's going to change. We can't go and cut the forest. It's still under federal control. So I don't get where you're getting, we're going to get all this money from us. It's still going to be under federal law, federal control. So that's a lie that we're going to be able to get all these timber receipts again. It's still under federal national forest. Federal national forest. That's not going to change even if you get a new state.
We could just state senators.
Okay. I've asked over and over, you know, I've tried to keep an open mind, and I've asked over and over what services will be provided, how will they be paid for, and there's no answer. It's all, we're going to figure it out when we get to the table, you know, the table, you know, we're going to, I feel like if you guys were serious, you would hired somebody, a consultant, got the services listed, got the funds, but you don't know. It's all like, it just is like going into this scary place that, I mean, you know, I just see a lot of people leaving. I know, you know, people, we had social services in here, we had vets, you know, they're getting loans for their houses, or if we don't provide, you know, those services for our disabled, for our needy people, they're gonna leave. Or you might say, yeah, good, but there goes their rental money paid by Section 8. You know, are we gonna have Section 8? Are we gonna have some of this stuff? Nobody has said, are we going to have it?
Of course we are.
Okay.
Back and forth.
Okay, well, I wanna just, you know, what Mr. Straley said about other states have the rural urban issues, that, you know, that goes on in other states. So we're all there, everybody's gonna start a new state. We got 50 of them right now. It's like, if you don't, you know, I'm thinking, you don't like this one, there's 50 of them. How many are we gonna have? But anyway, I'll let somebody else talk, and I might talk some more. Go ahead, somebody.
Okay, anybody?
Yeah,
Terry?
when I was down at CSAC, I met with some of the people from Lassen County that came up with this declaration, and I'm the one that brought this second declaration here. Speak up, please.
Speak up,
I said
Terry.
I met with some supervisors from at CSAC, which is California Association of Counties, and from Lassen County, and I talked to them, and when I got back, I asked our county council to get a copy of their declaration, which basically just puts us to a vote of the people. And that's, I think this is where we're at this point. We've got both sides are battling each other, and I think it comes down to the fact that the people of Plumas County need to decide. This board, I don't think, should decide for the people of Plumas County. That's what I feel. So that's what.
With that being said, I am wondering why all the Jefferson supporters don't get signatures and do their own initiative and put it to a vote. Why don't they do
You
You
that?
asked us not to because it would have added a bunch of money to have that election.
Well, this is gonna, who's paying for this election? That's what I wanna know.
It's
Who?
already gonna be an election in June.
That's 28, yeah.
It's
It's
too
not
late
an
to get
actual
on the
one.
June ballot.
What, I
I'm
think
sorry.
we need to hear from the elections office.
I'm Melinda Rother, I'm the assistant clerk recorder and registrar of voters, and for Kathy Williams today. It's too late to get on the June ballot for this kind of measure or referendum. It's a very, very long process. You guys would have to do a notice of intention first, and then the petition has to be approved by our office. You have 180 days to collect signatures. We have 30 days after that to approve the signatures. That does not count holidays and weekends. anyway, it would go, and then we need 120 days at that point to do the election from there forward. So we're too late for June.
But if the supervisors pass the declaration,
We don't need to do.
we don't need you.
We don't need it.
That's not up to me, I'm just here to speak to the
That's
election.
right. We don't need you guys.
November.
We're talking about.
We are talking about, the signatures are based on the last gubernatorial election, which was in 2014. It's 20% of the last people that voted for governor, so that's a total of
7,000 some.
1,421 signatures is what you need to collect.
1,421.
1,421, correct.
And then that that would go on in November?
That would go on November, but they would have to get going on it, be like December. Okay, and the cost, just so you guys know, the last time that you chose to put a ballot on a county-wide election, that was in 2012, and the cost was right around $15,500 at that point in time, that of course the county just absorbed.
So if you just vote, you don't have to pay for that.
Right.
Can't you do a special election?
You can do a special election, but it's still county-wide, and you still have all of your costs involved in it, and you know, our costs as a county department as well.
Is the 15,500 part of the overall election?
That was,
So,
point of order.
that was,
Yeah,
Isn't it closed to the audience?
yes, it's closed. And so our staff member was giving us advising us on some of the election stuff. Our public comment period has been closed.
And you know,
So I'm gonna go back to Terry.
if we held a special election, what kind of money are we talking?
you're talking about probably more than that, because the 15,000 was actually prorated for a November election, so it was part of a whole statewide election, and we prorate it based on how many items are on the ballot and how many districts are on the ballot, so it would probably actually be more than that.
Okay, have we had special elections before?
We have had special elections before, it's been several years since we're talking like 15 years probably since we had a county-wide special election. We have several small district elections that are like, you know, Quincy
I
Fire or
understand
something
that.
like that.
I mean, are we talking about a lot more money? for
Oh,
50,000?
potentially you could be at $50,000,
How much?
$50,000 to
Five
$60,000.
zero?
Just a matter of clarification, on the ballot that was in 2012, those were two tax measures. Is that the amount for the two tax measures?
That is correct, that is correct.
So,
And again, it will change based on how many things are actually on that ballot.
right, so it's variable.
Exactly.
Anybody else have any comments?
You know, and we have corporations that like PG&E, Sierra Pacific, they pay a lot of corporation tax or property tax too in our area. Let's see, and you know, my district, District 4, you guys, you know, rallied people to, I got, you know, this huge amount of people opposed, and I had a few emails. Dawn called me, Dawn in here, or emailed me, Mike Thomas, some of the, I've had, but my area, it was, you know, heavily opposed, and I mean, they have their right to be opposed. So. And somebody was talking about learn from history. Well, there's been, you know, a succession attempts and they have failed. Somebody said, why don't we learn from history? I forgot who that was, but, I don't know.
I do have one point of order real quick here.
Oh, can I make one more comment? You know, you talk about, again, the federal forest issue. I work on this all the time, you know, trying to get more timber out, biomass. I have a mill in my area. I work on this as much as I can. And I work with supervisors in other counties. Well, we have Inyo County, Tuolumne County. They don't even have mills, and they have forests. They're not going to be part of the state of Jefferson. I mean, they're struggling too, so I don't see how, I mean, it's a forest, national forest. It's not state forest.
Quick point of order here. We've had an individual that submitted a public comment prior to the meeting, and because he's in jury, and it was to be read during public comment, so we're going to read it right now.
we don't have a recording, and that's what he wanted at the time. So we could
It's
just
not-
announce that we are in receipt of his public comment in
Yes.
writing. And it will become a part of the public record.
Okay.
And he is opposed.
All right, state his name.
Mark, can I have it?
Yeah. Okay, back to our conversation. I guess I'll take off a little bit here and talk a little bit about how, well, I'm actually going to address Mark in the back real quick on how I guess I've become viewed as sitting on the fence. When I was elected to this position, I took it very seriously, and I still take it very seriously. And I research everything all the way up until the day I make a decision. And if there's new information that comes in, if there's not new information that comes in, I'm still constantly thinking, still constantly parts moving in my head. And to be, you know, if I want to be construed as being sitting on the fence, that's fine. But I don't put my heart on my sleeve. I don't wear it out there. I hold my decision in until I need to make it. And I appreciate that people see it that way. As far as this issue, I was elected as a policy maker for the county of Plumas to make policy decisions and to run this county as a whole. And making a political statement wasn't part of that job description. However, I do believe in the democratic process, and that if there is something out there that obviously we wouldn't be all sitting here right now if there was so many people opposed and so many people against this issue. And I think that the democratic process needs to play out, because if we don't play it out, then we are failing. We as supervisors really shouldn't be taking a stand one way or another because of a policy. We are a policy-making board, not a political statement. I have in my possession here a resolution that was passed down in Tehama County. It's very similar, not very similar, it's very different, but it allows us as a board of supervisors to put this on the ballot and to allow our voters to make a decision one way or the other. But it does not put us in a spot to where we shouldn't be making a political statement one way or the other. I'm liking this to, let's say, the Congress of the United States. Somebody came forth to whoever, some senator, says, you know what, I'd like to join the country of Cuba. Let's please join the country of Cuba. And so we start up this thing and we thought, oh, Congress is going to go ahead and endorse us moving towards the country, annexing with the country of Cuba without having any kind of an election of any kind to figure out if we are going to be in support of this. So,
that's assuming for the
excuse me,
US.
okay, excuse me, sorry. I'm sorry, that was just a
Sorry.
facetious
I know.
statement. But anyhow, that's where I'm at. I want the voters to have their say. I want them to be able to voice their opinion. And I would be in favor of this Tehama right here. So that's my input. Anybody else have anything?
I wanted to say, you know, they were saying we can't go down to I think Dawn brought it up about we can't go to Sacramento and advocate change. Well, a couple years ago, we had a big issue about our nursing homes, and there was a change in the Medi-Cal, how they were going to be reimbursed. We banded together, bipartisan. We had meetings Sierra County, and we worked together. Supervisor Kennedy, who was here, was he was a chair, I believe, and he went, or no, maybe not, but he went down, and we all pushed hard, and we got it changed. There was an exemption for rural counties. There are lots of times they do exempt the rural counties because of some of the issues we face. But so I do believe we can work for change on our rural counties. It's just about education And when we told the stories about family members in the nursing homes that had no place to go, and so it made people
Where are they
understand.
now?
Okay, sure.
It wasn't this nursing home, it was it was Seneca, Portola, and Loyalton. It wasn't a private nursing home. I know ours closed here, and that was a very painful event for me personally. So, but the ones that had they were, what is that called? SNF. Part have a wing of skilled nursing and the other regular hospital. We did get it changed where the reimbursement was better.
Sure.
We got a poisoned lake that's
Hey.
dead, Lake
Excuse
Davis,
me.
and we're doing a.
We're not doing the back and
lawsuit
forth right now. We're discussing this to try and get a decision made here.
It's not a discussion, it's just one person.
Sure. Could we get from you, sure?
How about Jim?
Well, I mean,
I know.
your turn.
I'm just kidding. I'd first like to say to everyone here, how much I appreciate the input that we've had on these issues. And I wrestled with this, as you can tell the rest of us have. I sort of resent some of the people who have decided that I'd already made up my mind and disseminated that information when in fact I hadn't. But basically where I am with this is kind of what Kevin said, but even maybe further. Our form of government allows for an initiative process. The initiative process, carried to its fruition, would still cause the county to pay for the election. So I know there's information out there that says that the state of Jefferson went through gathering signatures and putting something on the ballot and so on and so forth. It would cost them money. Well, it probably would cost them money getting the signatures and figuring out what they wanted to say on the ballot. But the actual cost of the election would be borne by the county. So I guess when it comes down to it, it really doesn't matter whether it's the Board of Supervisors that says put it on the ballot, or whether we put all of the state of Jefferson through the initiative process, because either way we end up paying for the actual election. So much as I originally, up to like 3 days ago, was at the point of saying, if the people want this, if the majority of the people want this, use the process that the government has built for you in the initiative process and bring it forward, and that will express the general desires of the majority. But as I see that it really makes no difference what the cost to the county is if it goes to election. And I strongly believe that it should go to election. You have 5 people sitting here who have been elected to represent you, to make decisions about county government, budget, managing departments, that type of thing. Not people that were elected to make a decision on what state you belong to. So before I would make that decision, I would really want to have it go to a vote. So what I would support, I really don't like any of the verbiage in any of these, but probably the closest to it would be the paperwork that Kevin's brought forward from Tehama County voters. But the thing you need to understand is if the board votes to put this on a ballot, it will be an advisory vote. That advisory vote, just to read you the paragraph here, it says, be it further resolved that this advisory election shall be considered with the June 3rd, blah, 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 that the results of this advisory vote will in no way, manner be controlling on the Tehama Board of Supervisors. So if Plumas County Board of Supervisors puts this to a vote, and for whatever reason, by the time it comes out on a ballot and is voted on, you may have different supervisors sitting here. My full bet is you'll be all so mad at us, you'll get rid of all of us before you're done. But bottom line being that it's an advisory vote, so it still comes back to the board to carry out the wishes of the public. Now, I cannot imagine, at least speaking for myself, that if it went either way to a majority, that I wouldn't uphold that majority. That's my job. So that's kind of where I am, is I don't want us to sign a declaration of any kind other than the fact that I want it to go to a vote of the public at the soonest possible election, which according to what you're saying would be November.
If you go this way, you could get it on in June.
In June.
Guys just wanna do it and
Okay.
have it go through.
So we could, it could qualify for,
Right,
so it could qualify for June
circulation.
if we took that action to put it to a large public. So, you know, that's as best as I can say it, and I can't even tell you the number of hours of sleepless nights I've spent on this issue. So, it isn't an easy decision, but I honestly believe that it is we the people who should make these decisions, not 5 people who can be heavily harangued and influenced by their constituency, who are then mad at them and say, well, we call you or we won't elect you or whatever. It should be you the people, we the people, and your elected officials then carry out your wishes. So that's where I am.
I have a question for Melinda. The State of Jefferson Formation Political Action Committee is listed with the State of California as a political action committee. And as Kevin said, this is more of a political movement. So shouldn't they bear the cost of the election?
I would have to confer with county council on that.
If it's a county measure that's placed on the ballot, the cost will be the county's, for the election itself. Anybody who wishes to try to campaign for or against the matter, that's going to be something that county funds cannot be spent on. And it would be
And
up
the
to
county
the-
seal cannot be on campaign literature, because I filed on that before.
Yes, there's a provision in elections code on that, so.
So when I'm saying the county would bear the cost for the election, I'm talking about the actual election. Printing ballots, sending them out, staff time, that type of thing. Not campaign or anything of that nature.
And that still can go on in June if we.
They will have to file the same FPPC forms as you guys would file as candidates. They have to, say exactly how much money they're taking in, where it's being expended to. They're held to the same standards as any other committee or candidate is.
Only one we haven't heard from is Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Sit back and let me take over.
I have to be a little careful. I like both sides of this line. I mean, I respect everybody and all their viewpoints. But I can't stand the words I can't or we can't. I wouldn't accept it from my kids, and I don't accept it from my grandkids. So when I hear the words we can't, it kind of rubs me the wrong way, because if we work together, we can. And if all the energy in this room and all the discussions and viewpoints were directed towards Ryan Dolly and Ted Gaines and senators, maybe we could make some progress in defining our issues and our wants and our needs. And we have to live within those. Sacramento, we're up against a brick wall, like we've heard. And it's gonna be hard to get anything done down there. With the air quality, water quality. My son-in-law had to sell his truck and run his business because of air quality. And it's happened to a lot of us. In my business, I've got 12 pieces of equipment. And air quality wants me to retrofit it with particulate mufflers. It's kind of hypocritical when you see forest fires burning thousands of acres, putting more particulate matter into the air. All the stuff that California could ever put out. So I understand from a very close viewpoint of what it's like to try to do business in California. And that's why so many people are moving out. My son-in-law sold his truck and went to work for Sierra Pacific, who maybe is a little more able to buy brand new trucks that are air quality compliant. And I'm just thinking maybe if this was a little bit of a freer area without the air quality, water quality. I mean, none of us are environmental terrorists. We don't live here because we want to clear cut all the trees or pollute the water or ruin anything. That's not the reason we all live here. think we all live here for the same reason. And I think one thing that would come from this is more people would flock here and flee the oppression. And we could see the growth.
Yep.
So, from the very first meeting that I attended here, and this went on before I was elected, but I thought this should be put, you know, because it's so split, because I have so many friends on both sides, that this should be put on the ballot. It shouldn't be decided by 5. Because I think we need to represent everybody, and everybody is represented by their own individual votes. And the majority should vote. That's my 2 cents.
Okay?
Okay, you want a motion?
Sure.
I'll be quick. I'd like to move that we craft a resolution based very similarly on the one that we've received from Tehama County with the intent of placing the issue of the state of Jefferson on the ballot at the June election. And it'd be an advisory vote to the Board of Supervisors.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
All right, just a matter of clarification, and was that with adopting a resolution that would be in the nature of the one by Tehama County?
Yeah.
And so that would be the action today. Did you want that language brought back to you for the formal adoption? You've already had the public comment with regard to this issue, so it would just be to review the language
Yeah.
and a final action.
Yes.
And the resolution, just to read the title of it, it's a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Tehama, but it would say Plumas, calling for an advisory election to allow the voters of Tehama County to voice their opinion regarding separation from the state of California and formation of a new state. So yes, I would like that language brought back for final approval.
All right.
Okay, roll call.
Supervisor Engel,
Yes.
Thrall,
Yes.
Simpson,
You know, in the beginning, I supported it, but Senator Gaines and Dolly do not support it. You know, our city manager, I vote no.
Okay.
Swafford,
Yes. All right. Moving on. 3C, establish a development review committee to include 2 board members.